Hello, hello, hello again. This is Reverend Dr. Nina Thompson, and we have a very special guest here this week, as we always do, I hope you know. This is the Make Your Life Work project, and our goal is to examine whatever we feel like examining, including purpose. Purpose, to me, is passion. If you understand who you are and why you were created and what great stuff you could do, it changes your life trajectory, in my opinion. So, without further ado, let me introduce Sheron Thomas. And instead of telling you all this amazing stuff about him, I can tell you that I worked with him at MoDOT on the I-270 project, and I got to know him very well. He's a really good person. He's a straightforward guy. He is very intelligent and smart, and he has both sides of the equilibrium. He knows how to be compassionate, but he also knows how to be very strong and centered and focused. So, Sheron, thank you.
Thank you for
spending your
having me,
time with us. Yeah, absolutely. Tell us
it.
about you. I appreciate you coming. You were one of my buddies at MoDOT.
Absolutely.
And actually, I wouldn't say my backbone, but a part of it for sure.
Yeah.
You know, you kept me grounded and kept things moving for me. So I would not do this without inviting you eventually.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I thought you were going to say no.
Anything for you.
Oh, did you all hear that? See how nice I am? See how much people love me? So, Sheron, tell me about yourself. What is it? Tell us about your where you are, and tell me a little bit about how you got where you are in terms of why you chose that path. Is that okay?
Well, let's start off. I guess career-wise, I'm a civil engineer for the Missouri Department of Transportation here in St. Louis, also known as MoDOT.
Yes.
My current position is utilities engineer.
Okay.
Outside of that, I don't know. I'm a
So
uncle, a brother.
What's utility engineer? Tell me what that is.
So
I understand it, but yeah.
Yeah, so utilities engineer is my job is basically to just coordinate with all the utility companies just in the area like Ameren or Missouri Water.
Okay.
Missouri American Water,
Right.
Inspire.
Okay.
And coordinate with them, identify certain conflicts that we got on projects and get them to relocate their facilities and
okay. And that's project based. It's not like you do that for the whole city of St. Louis for MoDOT or anything like that. You just do that project based.
Yeah, it's just
and just make sure things are coordinated and running well.
Yeah.
Okay. So whenever we have a problem in the middle of a project, if my electricity is going off, then that's yours to go.
That ain't my fault.
It's your fault. It's not your fault, but it's your fix if you're in the middle of a project. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I-270.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Did a lot of, I guess you can't tell me all the challenges there were on I-270, but did it keep you busy? Because I know it's kind of a complicated, because I-270 is like a lot of highways, is old. Mm-hmm. So there was some complication, there were some challenges.
Yeah, it was very, very busy, and I got onto that project maybe a year out of college.
Oh, wow.
I went to Missouri S&T in Raleigh, got my civil engineer degree there, and I started off at MoDOT just as a highway designer, and then about a year in, I switched over and became like a project engineer for the 270 project. Now
that's impressive. Hold on, I'm gonna put a period right there because that's impressive. I work for state government like forever. I have like 20 years with state government in different agencies, and I understand the trajectory, and it's a tough one because a lot of people are looking for like the biggest project or the prime position, and at that time, I-270 was the largest in terms of dollars, the largest project that MoDOT had done.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess I can't say how did you get it. Right, but how did you feel being selected for that project? I mean, that's a quick up. That's a quick come up.
Yeah, it was a good feeling, and I don't know, it was something I really wanted to do. Even when I was in college, I interned with MoDOT, and I knew that the project was coming up. And just being in St. Louis, growing up in North County, like I grew up in Normandy, and of course, 270 project is in North County.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, that's something I need to be working on. So that's kind of how I took it, and luckily, a lot of people in MoDOT, they kind of looked out for me and gave me, mentorship and all of that. And was like, yeah, you should do this, and when it's come around, you'll be ready to work on it. And it just fell from there.
And that's purpose. That's when we talk about purpose, we talk about being aware of what you either feel like you're led to do, hopefully a combination of what you're led to do and what you desire to do, right, when they meet. And then being conscious of the choices you make that lead you to that. That's a perfect example of what I try to tell young adults, and that's a perfect message. I should just bring you in to talk to some of them sometimes, because you're planting seeds and they don't grow if they're not planted properly.
Yeah.
So I heard you say, I went to get the education or the training or whatever it is you're doing, because sometimes it's not a degree, sometimes it's training. I went to do all the stuff that I had to do, and then I positioned myself.
Yep.
I went in and did a summer internship. They know me now, right? So, and you had the skill, you were prepared, and they like, let's get him in this.
Yeah.
The biggest project they had.
Yeah.
So that's purpose to me. You know, I don't know, did you feel like I was meant to do this?
You know, in a lot of ways, yeah, because even when I was in high school, I graduated from North Technical High School, and I was doing architectural design there. And even then, I was looking through my stuff one day, and I did a presentation just about like interstates and highways, even in high school.
Yeah.
So I kind of like knew, I'm like, okay, this is something I always wanted to do. And even just reading my notes from that time, I like kind of had it designated to like, hey, I wanted to impact the community this way by making sure that our infrastructure and stuff is safe and sound and all of that, just throughout the whole community. And it's crazy because I had a lot of that stuff mapped out then, and I was only like 16, 17.
Wow.
And that ended up being my journey, just even past that, and I didn't even realize it.
So you were just actually making the isolated decisions, you thought.
Yeah.
And they were actually leading up to your plus one to 10.
Yeah.
That's
and even like when I got into college, like I was looking at different jobs and all of that, and then ended up doing stuff with MoDOT. And I was like, oh, I should have been doing this all along instead of looking at this job or this job. I should have been on my path doing that like I started off to do.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I teach a lot of that to myself, of course, and to others, that you may feel like you don't have a skill. You may feel like you don't have anything special. You may feel like you're just going to school to get through school. But I believe, ultimately, each of us was created for something, you know, and it may not be that somebody else is not doing the same thing, but they're not going to do it the same way you do it.
Yeah.
So it's important that we know that, and I think that's when you find, like, you seem to be really excited about what you're doing. You walked that path to it, you know what I mean? So almost instinctively, you just went with what your inside told you to do.
Yeah.
And what your head told you to do, and you ended up in the spot.
Yep.
So, and I know it's a coveted spot because you're a young guy, you know, and to be handling that kind of money, working with that kind of money on a project. And then I think you went to 55 after that, right?
Yeah.
You did some work on 55 after that. So, kudos.
Thank you.
So tell me specific. You said you do utilities, right?
Yes.
Do you think you're going to stay there? How does that work? Do you stay there, or do you get to pick and choose, or do you educate and, you know, move up by going to get some other education in another area? How does that work?
I guess like within our, within our company or just within MoDOT, you can choose to stay there if that's something, you know, you're passionate about. It's something I like doing right now.
Right. Okay.
But eventually one day I do want to become like a project manager and like just be the head of a project that we have just throughout the whole area, just like we had on 270 and
so calling the shots,
and just being the top person there.
Yeah.
Ultimately, like that's the goal.
Right, because that pulls it all together for you.
Yep.
Yeah, you can vision it and then just pull it into fruition. That's good. Okay. Well, tell me about. Let's see. What do you do besides MoDOT? What do you do? I know you travel a lot.
I try to.
Because I envy you. When we were working together, he's like, I'm going here. I'm going here this weekend. I was like, well, okay. So I know you travel a lot. Do you enjoy traveling?
Yeah.
What is it? Tell me what it gives to you. What is
I don't
it?
know.
I'm putting you on spot. I'm sorry, but
it's I don't know. It's just something refreshing. It's something about just getting on the road or just getting on a plane and just going somewhere where you haven't been and just seeing how people are in different cities and how we're connected in a way, even though we're all in different places. It's something, I don't know. I like that part of it and just learning new things from people and their culture and all of that.
Because I know you are inquisitive. The one thing I liked about you when we worked together is that I can be a talker because ideas just bubble up in my head and they just like, if you don't let us out, we're just going to bust your head open. But you're a good listener too.
Yeah.
You just listen and you listen and you hear. And that's a skill that I wouldn't think a lot of engineers have.
Yeah.
Not a shot at engineers, and I'm just saying, you know, they're the creme de la creme. Is that what they say? So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, but it's definitely a good skill to have, and I don't know. It's just being brought up like that. Just my family I just always had that quality. I was always the person in the family just listening to everybody, and I'm the youngest in my family as well. So just listening to everybody and just learning from them. I kind of started there, but even like you said, with just listening to, you know, understand instead of just being like, oh, I get you, but I don't really get you.
Yeah.
But,
Are you finished yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know, it's just, I don't know, just being raised a certain way and just learning like, yeah, you got to hear people out and understand where they're coming from. So it kind of comes from that.
And that foundation is important to purpose. Because if you don't have, or if we don't have a foundation that nurtures and grows us, or that at least, kind of pushes us into to finding out things for ourselves, about ourselves, then I think sometimes we just go get a job.
Yeah.
And you're doing job here and job there and job, but you really don't know. And there are people that do amazing things, because I talk to everybody, that's the way I am. So a lot of people, they'll say, well, I do something. I'm like, what? And I'm like, yeah, looking at me like, that's not exciting. But when you're doing it because you're led to do it, it feels different. Do you think that's true? It feels different from when you're just getting a job or forced to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Like, just as we're talking about purpose, just, finding something that you're passionate about and something that you care about, at least. And if you can make a career out of that. It's kind of cliche, but it's like, that's kind of what it's all about. It's like, hey, what do I like? What am I into? Can I make money or whatever off of this?
And it's in your lane. It's getting in your, because sometimes you may not make the money that you think you should make when you first begin.
Yeah.
But often it does give you your livelihood because it's like almost a natural to you. You have to, of course, you have to study and work at it.
Yeah.
But it comes to you naturally. Like talking comes to me naturally. I just, right. My mother, I remember when I came back to St. Louis and we would go to the grocery store and stuff, and she said, every time I look around, you're talking to somebody. But that's my gift.
That's you,
I'm curious, I like those conversations. I like those interactions. So it makes sense that I'm in public relations and communication.
Yep.
So, and I feel at home there. I feel very comfortable. Not necessarily in front of, a camera, but I feel very comfortable. I wanted to do our next part with you. So these are questions that I came up with. I call them discussion circles.
Okay.
And it tries to create an environment where they're answering kind of the same questions, and it's introspective because there's not like a right answer to any of them.
Yeah.
So usually I will either let people choose their first one and I'll choose the second one, or I choose them both. So you can tell me which one you want to do.
I don't know, I'll choose one. Maybe. I don't know.
And there's another side to it. It's those, and then if you turn it over, there are questions on the back. I'm pretty nosy. I used to be a newspaper reporter, so yeah, they aren't easy answer questions. Don't be looking at my notes either. I know
No, I'm not looking at it.
I didn't know my notes were on there.
No, these some good questions. I feel like,
And we can do 3. We'll have time. So, we don't have to just do 2.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of answered this one already, but maybe the first one.
Okay. Oh, well. Let me see. Okay, I know how to put a twist on it. So what is one skill that makes you unique, and how do you nourish that skill? How do you feed that skill? Does that make sense? Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so I don't know, just going back to what we were saying earlier, just having the ability to like just have understanding. I don't know, just as I was mentioning earlier, I'm the youngest in my family. Everybody, all my cousins, sisters, everybody, aunts and uncles, everybody's older than me. So I just always, I don't know, I was just blessed to have just a ability to understand.
Right.
And just a lot of situations in life and just know like right from wrong and all of that. And it just always just helped me just throughout life.
So you could have had a career as a counselor?
Maybe, yeah.
If you would have wanted to do either way.
Maybe, yeah.
But this way you get to turn it on and off. But yeah, okay. And there is, I can say that there is some depth in that area. It comes to you naturally. Like my gabbiness, my talking, bringing out people comes to me naturally. You're comforting people and you're listening to people and understanding comes to you naturally. So that is absolutely, when you talk about purpose or gifts, it's not like a gift.
Yeah.
It's not like a purpose. It's all this tied into you being what you need to be to accomplish, I think. This is how I feel about it, what you're supposed to accomplish. Some people don't believe in that. How do you feel when I say everybody has a purpose? Does that resonate with you, or is that like, whoa, that's kind of deep, that's too far for me? You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
No, I mean, everybody definitely has a purpose in life, depending on what it is. Like, just, we're all here for a reason. So,
Okay.
I mean, we're not. I don't know. That's the way I feel about it.
We're not an
It's
accident.
Like,
We
we're not just
yeah.
here just to be here. We're all here to do something.
Just eat, our favorite meal. And I always think about, I'm a foodie, Speaking of food, it has nothing to do with this interview. One of my favorite restaurants opened again. Remind me to tell you where it is. Where it is. Okay, question number 2. Let me get back focused. Let's see. I think you kind of already answered that, but can I do two more?
Yeah.
Okay. What is your greatest strength? That's the first part of the question. And how can you use it to improve your community or to help others? I think that's a really good question for you. What's your greatest strength, and how could you use it to improve your community or to help others?
I guess, I don't know. I feel like we touched on a lot of these earlier, but just going back to understanding and just listening and, listening, just interpreting information and then just spreading it to people.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, we did, but I still like the way you framed that, because it says that usually when we think of engineers, well, let me just say me, okay? When we think of engineers, I think of somebody who dots all the I's and crosses all the T's and, is super intelligent, so much so you just can't even talk to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that speaks to what you just answered. That says, no, we're multifaceted. We're not all the same. They don't just produce us on a machine and we all can walk and talk the same.
Yeah.
We have different personalities. We have different backgrounds. No, we're not all geeks. No, we're not all super intelligent. We just have a passion for that part of life. So that's the reason I asked you that. So thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's just kind of piggyback off of that. It's interesting because like you saying, just with that, I'm not trying to say.
Take your time.
Just I lost my train of thought.
You know how people think about maybe it's the image people have.
Yeah. And just with engineers and stuff, I don't know, just how we are, just even in our community.
Right.
Like we're different anyway, so just in engineering, we always gonna bring a different perspective to engineering, and just everywhere we go, we just stand out.
Right.
So
exactly.
This is like we just can't help it.
And people don't
I think that plays a lot into it too.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, when you talk about how we are, how people, you guys did that. When I was in college, in high school, I wanted to go into engineering. And so it's funny because I'm so on the other side, the communicative side, that kind of like you are. You show up like that too. I'm like, hey, how you doing? I'll talk to people on the street. And so I wonder if that just breaks down the whole idea that we have of engineers. Well, they're different. They're quiet. They're weird. You know what I mean? It's just a passion, I think, to put things together to make something great.
Yeah.
Is that not to simplify it, because I know it's hard work.
Yeah.
But just to be able to visualize, if we do this and move this left and build this, what will it accomplish? How will it improve something? Is that kind of in a nutshell? So that's the passion part of it.
Yeah. And that's, I don't know, that's for an engineer, that's what everybody is at the root, just they say problem solving, but it's like, finding stuff in the world to fix, or even regardless if it's a physical thing or just try to fix something in somebody's life, Right,
and it does, and even with the physical things, it has implications for the emotional, the physical, and all the other stuff. So actually, it's one of the biggest things that can impact people's lives.
Yeah.
So I get that. Okay, let's see. Oh, man. Okay. I'll ask you this one. What one area in living out your life would you like to be stronger or improve in? So what one area would you like to just be better in terms of your perspective? Because other people might think, well, you're great in this area.
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny because it's like, that's like like when they be in interviews and stuff, and you're like, oh, what's your weakness?
I know.
I'm like, how am I supposed to talk about my weakness? I'm not here to talk. But
that's a good point.
It's like, if I tell you my weakness, I'm not gonna get the job. But
and you know what? Don't forget the question. But that is true, because sometimes it happens to me.
Yeah.
I'm very transparent, and sometimes I'm being transparent, and I'll say, well, I talk so much, and every time I see that person, I say, but you're big mouth self. So I really get that. I really get that, and I promise I won't do that, and don't you all do it either when you see him. But it doesn't have to be a weakness. It may be something that you wish you could pour more water on.
Yeah,
You know,
I think
to
one
grow.
thing I wish I did better was just ask for help, because I'm somebody that like sometimes I can be reserved and I just do everything myself. I even like
Yeah.
spend
Amen.
a whole hour trying to figure something out when I could have just asked somebody, hey, how do you do this in like 1 second? So maybe that's probably it.
Actually, I think that is it, because you just fed me, because I tend to be a person that thinks I should be able to do everything. And I'm learning with this new project we're doing that I have had to lean really heavily on my videographer, and Miss Valerie, she's not here, she does the Zoom. And I can't take all of it in and still be prepared emotionally to do this. So absolutely, I would say ditto on that one.
Yeah.
And I think everybody has that, they just don't sometimes realize it. We're just kind of hard on ourselves. Okay, so we're talking about purpose, we're talking about positioning, because positioning is when you decide you want to move in a certain place, and I think that's where a lot of people are challenged.
Yeah.
You know, how do you, and you don't have to, you've done it, but just generally, how, if I said, give me some advice on how to be blah, 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 what I want to be, what would you tell me is most important to do and to think and to be and how to show, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is that too broad?
No.
Okay, good.
No. I guess it kind of just goes back to just finding something that you're passionate about. It's like, hey, what am I passionate about? What's something I can do that doesn't feel like work?
Okay.
And how can I apply that towards a career or a job? Or
See,
whatever,
that's the, yeah.
and then just go from there. And
So talk to me about the third one. How can I apply that to a job or a career? Why is that necessary? Why can't I just say, well, I like spinning bottles. I think I want to spin bottles for the rest of my life. And I'll just practice spinning bottles.
well, I mean, it's necessary because you still gotta live. But I don't know. You don't want to go,
Exactly.
but you don't want to go through life and just be like, yeah, I'm doing this, but I don't really want to do it. So
So maybe a slice of practicality on top of it. I mean, how can I make money? Instead of saying, I want to do this and make money, right? How can I make money if I do this?
yeah,
Because there's all kind of things, you know, you can say, well, I want to sing, but I want to jazz it up. I want to be a jazz singer. Or I want to sing and snap my fingers while I sing and see, you know, because it works good for me. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it gives you a chance, I think, to be creative. It is stressful, though.
yeah.
It's hard to,
Yeah.
especially if you are, did you have a lot of people in your family that earned degrees and stuff like that? Or was that the norm?
Not a lot. I had a couple of older cousins and aunts and uncles that did, but there still wasn't a lot of people in my family that like. There was nobody in my family that went into engineering, so
Right.
I didn't have anybody to look to like, hey, what do I need to do to go into this. And even when I was in high school, I guess around time like my sophomore year, I kind of had it in my mind like, all right, I got to figure out what I need to do in life now.
Really?
So that I'm not stressing about it later.
So where did that come from? Where do you think that came from?
I don't know. It's just kind of goes back to
So
just.
if we knew that, we'd have $1 million in our pocket,
Yeah,
huh?
I think.
I mean, what makes people get to a point where they say, I need to make a choice about how I'm going to do this? How am I going to make a living that's lucrative for me?
I think for me too, since like I was saying, since I'm the youngest in my family, like my sisters, both of them, my oldest sister is like 4 years older than me, and my other sister, she like 2 years older than me. And they were already in school, and they already had their plan figured out. So just always being around them and just being around people that were older than me, it was like, all right, that's what they're doing now.
Right.
I kind of always kind of saw myself like right there with them. So it's like, all right, I need to be right there with them because they're great, like in my eyes.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
it's like, hey, I want to be just as great as them, so I need to be doing this right now. So it was kind of a little bit more of that too, just looking for them and just.
And you know, that's interesting because when you said that, what came to my mind is, do you remember, I don't know if it was around then, but they used to have a role modeling program. And then the Big Brothers, Big Sisters was real big. I was a big sister forever. And the funny thing is, I was a big sister in Jeff City. And I think she was like 9, right? And the whole family just took me as big sister. That was one of the challenges. But even today, she still calls me sister. She still talks to me. She has 2 really smart kids she's raising. She went to school for dentistry, and with no degree, and just been doing her thing. She's just moving up the ladder.
Yeah.
So I think that programs like that were helpful, because they let you see it. Even if you couldn't model it in your family, they let you see it. So that's a plug for people. Just even if you're not in the program, if you're an adult and you're going somewhere to work every day, right? Because it doesn't have to be degreed. You're going somewhere to work every day. Why not befriend somebody's son or daughter that doesn't see that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that gives them, like you said, that makes them say, well, man, that's possible.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I'm not hitting it in school, but that doesn't mean I can't do something else. You know, so yeah, I took what you said. I just told you how valuable what you said was. Let me think. What do I want to where do I want to go with this? Because I know you pretty well. I know what I want to talk about. I forgot. Okay. So you were a part of a program. I'll let you mention it, where you served as a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard impressive reviews. You know, I just did a project with the woman that you worked with.
Yeah.
Yeah, she called me to help her on something else she was doing, and while she thinks highly of you, she talked about you, and I know that you didn't have to do that. You chose to do that. So tell me why you chose to do it and what it gave you. How did it elevate you? Not necessarily, you know, materialistically or in your position. What did you give them? Why did you give it to them, and what it did for you? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people say, "I'm not volunteering. Hey, pay me." You know.
I guess for me, and kind of talk about the program. So on 270, we had a STEM outreach program called Project Pave. And the program was created by Millstone Weber, but we kind of set the blueprint and the template for them to pretty much develop their program. We started all the initial early on coordination, and they just kind of took it from there. So it was kind of a shared interest, but it's kind of something I've always been, you know, passionate about, just kind of helping out, you know, high school students, or even just the youth in terms of just getting into engineering. So it was kind of easy for me because it was like, okay, I need more people like me in these spaces. So
right.
It's kind of more of like, hey, I have to do this. You know?
You have to.
Yeah. And even just even other organizations that I'm a part of, like NSB and my fraternity, like we have to, you know, set a space for everybody that comes after us.
So can I talk about that commitment with you real quick? Okay, so let's talk about the greater good, the commitment to the greater good. A lot of people, I think, I shouldn't say that, but it appears that a lot of people don't operate in that space anymore, that there's a void for understanding that you know, that is something good to be doing. Why do you think that you feel that, I don't want to say obligation, but it is kind of an obligation, that responsibility to fill spaces and put things in spaces they need to be in, or grow things that need to be grown, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I mean, just to be like real specific, I mean, of course we're black, so being a black engineer, there's not a lot of us. And even like say for women, there's not a lot of black women that are engineers. So if I'm in a space and I'm not trying to help people after me, there's not going to be anybody else after me. Because they're just, and then the way things are in just the country right now, they're kind of eliminating opportunities for people. And I don't know, I always had it in my, like for me to just, I want to create opportunities.
Right.
Regardless of who like supports it or not. So
and I think
it kind of plays a lot into that.
Yeah, you said there's not going to be opportunity. So to me, that's it. If you don't have opportunities, if you don't have diversity in spaces, you really don't have the creativity you need. You don't have the acknowledgement that people are different and they think differently, they move differently, so they need different things. You lose a whole lot.
Yeah.
So for you to say that is absolutely. I'm glad you said it. I just love that you said. I didn't even know you were going there. I just wanted to talk about that initiative because you were front and center.
Yeah.
And I got to participate and it helped me a lot. So I know. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But even for like the students that were in that programs, some of the ones that don't end up going in engineering, that's fine too because. To me, it's all about like just opportunity.
Open up possibilities.
And just opening up like what's out there for people. Because even when I was in school, we had programs, but there's not a lot of programs for people to figure out what they want to do. And if you could figure that out while you're in high school, everything else after that will be fine. And you won't have to struggle. So I don't know. It's kind of a lot of that too, because that was my journey and just trying to figure it out on my own.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Everything.
I was the first one to go to. School after high school. And when I was in high school, I thought I wanted to be an engineer. I kept thinking I wanted to be an engineer. But I never did anything I think I went to a program. I went to some program. I can't even remember what school it was, and did a summer program there. but I never did a serious move toward it for some reason. And by the time I got ready for college, I was in communications, which is, I guess, fits.
Yeah.
But I did have a mind that was engineering. I do
Yeah.
move like that because it irritates people sometimes. Well, did you do that? Did you put that knob over there? But as far as putting things together, I don't have that engineering perspective. But as far as how I move, I do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does matter that you know that you have options. And it does matter that you see people that look like you or that move like you. And sometimes they don't even have to look like you, they just have to move like you.
Yeah.
So you can have, diversity and stuff like that. So that, yeah, I got to see some of that, and it was tremendously rewarding. I think no matter where those young people end up, they're going to be better for it.
Yeah.
And I know they adored you. You got an award for that as well. I thought. Did you?
Yeah.
I knew you wouldn't mention it, so I thought I'd put you on blast. Because they saw you as a big brother, and so that was one effort I wanted to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So is there anything that I did not ask you that you wanted to? Well, do we have any questions? Let's do that. Let's see if we have some questions.
Okay. First question for the guest. Do you speak a foreign language fluently? And if so, what language?
Nah, I don't.
No.
I took Spanish in high school, but I can't even remember a lot of the Spanish and all of that stuff.
That's funny.
But basic words, but not fluent.
So yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. I get it. I know two French statements. That's it.
Okay. When you mentioned that you like to travel, a question was asked is, what are your travel goals? Like, where are you going to next?
So this my birthday is next month. I'm still trying to figure out where I want to go for my birthday, but my goal is to for sure go to all the 50 states in the country.
Okay.
Wow.
And definitely explore other places out of the country. The next place I want to go out of the country is somewhere in Africa. Outside of that, that's kind of mainly it, like seeing the 50 states and going to Africa, going to the Caribbean, all of those things. Yeah.
I want to say something about that, though. What you just said to me is you can be a man of color and have a goal to go to all 50 states
Yeah.
and out of the country.
Yeah.
And we are going to Africa. You don't know that
Yeah.
yet, but we're going. So go ahead. I mean, that's a powerful statement. He didn't say it like that, but that's a powerful statement.
But no, that kind of, I don't know, I kind of had that goal even when I was a kid. Like, we'd go on road trips and stuff when I was a kid. And that kind of led me into engineering, too. Like, I'll be 8 or 9, and I'll be in the back seat with, a map in my hand or whatever, telling my dad, hey, we need to go this way, this way, this way, and stuff. So that's something I kind of always had an interest in and all that, so.
But I think it's powerful. But I also think though it's powerful for a young man to be sitting here and saying that. Does that make sense? It's not somebody in the White House or somebody that's got this job you can't even talk to him or touch him. It's somebody that lives, eats, and breathes in our community that's saying that's one of my goals. So you can do the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. I'm ready.
Okay. It's kind of like a two-part question. So you mentioned asking for help. That was maybe a weakness.
Yeah.
Totally can relate to that.
Yeah.
But a question is, what was your moment when you realized, hey, it's going to take a village for me to get to my purpose?
That's good.
I don't know, I learned that pretty early. Even in, when I was in high school, I remember I went on this senior class trip to Washington, D.C., and I asked everybody in my family, because we needed, I think $200 or something to be able to go on the trip. So I'm like, all right, how I'm going to get that in a day? Because I needed to figure it out in 2 days. So I called up all my aunts and uncles and cousins, and everybody was like, hey, can I have maybe just $10 or whatever? And everybody was able to, come through for me and all of that. So I kind of knew then, it's people will support you when they see you doing something, even regardless, it takes a village, like you said. And
especially if you doing it. You're intent on doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, purpose. Huh?
But no, I appreciate them for that, because we had a great time and learned a lot. But yeah.
Good question.
Okay. How do you protect your peace while you're in your purpose? I know it's hard. Going to work, there's our challenges. You're not always going to get along with the people. So how do you really protect your peace to make sure that you're staying on the right track for you?
I think for me, I don't know, just going about my day to day, like on my ride into work every day, I always have some music playing, and I'm a big music person. So that always gets me like in a certain mode to just be able to handle certain stuff. And I don't know, just while I'm at work or just moving throughout life, I don't let a lot of stuff get to me. So I don't know, if I'm in certain situations, I'll take a step back and be like, okay, let me think about this, or just address it head on. And I don't know, it's just a lot of things that I don't even like worry about. I don't let stress me out. I don't know how to describe it. It's certain things I know I can't control,
Right.
so I don't even put it in my mind to worry about it, because there's so much other stuff that can stress you out and everything. So it's like you might as well eliminate some of the stuff you can't control. So,
And I want to add to that because I think that's why we're doing this. I think when you know where you belong, purpose will help you not worry about stuff. You know, and even when you don't like it, like you may not want to get up and go to MoDOT one morning, but you know that's part of your purpose.
yeah.
So you're on board, you're doing it. So purpose kind of aligns your actions. I mean, we're always trying to make it better, but it helps align your, and would you say that? It helps
Yeah.
align you where
Yeah.
it's not about your emotions. It's about what you're led to do,
Yeah.
your purpose. Okay, that's good.
Okay. Last question. As a mentor, what is your catchphrase to motivate other
That's a good question.
kids, I guess? What is your catchphrase?
Get up, you better do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's just like, hey, you gotta
I'm not inside your head, right?
like, you got, yeah. I don't know if I have a catchphrase. It's just seeing where they are in life and just trying to figure out what's the best thing to support them in. But I don't know if I necessarily have one thing that I always say. I don't know. I don't think I have. It's just more of like whatever they have, I just put
Give
out
back.
that way. Yeah.
That's better than me. You're more gracious. I say do it anyway. Well, I do it anyway, and that's to young adults. So that's just, there's some things you just have to do anyway.
Yeah.
Just talk to
Yeah.
the feet. I used to say talk to the feet a lot, you know. I know. All right. You know what? The funny thing is, I didn't realize it until like this year. But I was talking to one of them that I've been a long time, right? And she said, "But you used to be honest, Mom Nina." I'm like, "What?" But I'm looking back now, and I was.
But
you know.
sometimes it's needed.
I hope so. I hope I wasn't just abusing people to get off on it. Like, talk to the feet. Good job. Good answers, yeah.
Happy early birthday. Just throwing it out there.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, I have nothing further tonight. I thought you were going to say no, because I know you don't like the spotlight,
Nah.
but I'm so glad that I had planted enough good seeds that you would do it for me, even if you didn't want to do it.
No, I
You-
for sure
you
always
want
want to do it. It's just more finding the right time. I think the initial day we was thinking about, I was out of town. So
Right,
Or I
yes.
was trying to go out of town. So I'm like, yeah.
That was still quick,
Making
though.
sure that
Yeah.
I had enough time to figure out what we want to talk about and everything, and
Good.
make sure that I got all of my stuff together to be able to.
Oh, I had no doubt on that. So is there anything you want to share before we leave? You don't have to feel pressured to do it. I just want to make sure that if you want to leave a thought or an idea or anything in the atmosphere, you get to do it before we.
No, I don't necessarily have anything, but I don't know. I just want to thank you again for having me.
Thank you for coming,
And
Sharon.
just having this series, just talking about purpose, because it's real important.
You always do that to me, and I'm not in my office at MoDOT, so I'm not going to cry. But I'm honored that you decided to, because some people don't, they're like, I don't like doing that, and they just won't do it. But I'm honored that you, I know this is maybe not your perfect comfort zone, although you do really well
Yeah.
in front of people.
Thank you.
I've watched you. You handle yourself really well. You think before you speak. You're very conscious, and that's a gift, So thank you for saying yes. And I hope you're happy with it. I'm sure you'll be happy with it. We have an extraordinary videographer, so.
Yeah.
Just trying to keep Tim happy, So if we don't have any more questions, can you give your shout out before we leave? I want them to know who's operating the Zoom today. Just tell us your name.
Hello, everyone. I am Camila. I'm filling in for my mother, Valerie.
And she's doing a supreme job, so thank you. Appreciate that.
No problem.
So thank you guys for joining in. I hope that it feeds you, and I hope you take it seriously, because it is serious. We laugh and we talk, but it is about purpose and understanding where you belong and why you belong there. Thank you.